The summer air was warm and sweet on the Carter family farm in Iowa. Lily Carter, a small girl with bright eyes and brown hair, played in the fields as the sun began to set. She was only 10 years old, and to her, the farm was the whole world. Her father Jack worked the land, and her mother Ellen kept the house. They were simple people with simple lives. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She went to her window to look at the stars. They shone like tiny diamonds in the dark sky. As she watched, one of the lights began to move. It grew bigger and brighter. Lily rubbed her eyes. No star should move like that. A blue glow filled her room. She wanted to call for her parents, but no sound came out. Her body felt light, and then she couldn't feel the floor under her feet anymore. The last thing she saw was her bedroom getting smaller below her. Jack and Ellen woke to a strange sound. When they checked Lily's room, she was gone. Her window was open, and her bed was empty. Jack ran outside, looking up at the sky where a strange light was moving away. Ellen called the police with shaking hands. "Our daughter is gone," she cried into the phone. There was a light in the sky. Some kind of aircraft took her. The police came, but they didn't believe the Carter's story about lights and strange aircraft. They wrote in their report that Lily Carter was a missing child, possibly a runaway or taken by someone. They searched the area, but found nothing. "No one believes us," Ellen said, holding Lily's stuffed bear. "Someone has to," Jack replied, his face hard with worry. Far above Earth, in a ship larger than any human had ever built, Lily woke up in a small white room. The walls glowed softly. There was nothing in the room except the flat surface she lay on. She sat up, her heart beating fast. "Mom, Dad?" she called, her voice small in the strange room. A door she hadn't seen before slid open. The beings that walked in weren't human. They were tall and thin with skin that looked like polished metal. Their eyes were large and black, with no white parts like human eyes. Lily tried to back away, but there was nowhere to go. One of the beings spoke, and though Lily didn't understand the words, a device on its wrist made sounds in English. Subject acquired. Female. Young. Suitable for the resilience tests. Another being moved forward. "I am Chief Researcher Vrax of the Xanthari Empire. You are now part of an important study. Your species has unique abilities we wish to understand." Lily didn't understand what was happening, but she knew she was far from home. "I want to go back to my mom and dad," she said, trying to be brave even as tears filled her eyes. Vrax tilted his head, studying her like she was an interesting bug. Emotional response noted. The attachment to parental units is strong in this species. The beings spoke among themselves in their strange language. Lily caught words from the translation device. Testing. Pain threshold. Human resilience. "Please," Lily said. "I'm scared. I want to go home." Fear response is typical, Vrax said, making notes on a glowing pad. "You are the youngest human specimen we have collected. Your data will be valuable." The Xanthari led Lily from the room down a long hallway. Through clear walls, she saw other rooms with people inside. Some were sleeping. Others looked sick or hurt. All were human. "What are you doing to them?" Lily asked, her voice shaking. "Learning," Vrax answered simply. "Your species can endure much. We want to know why and how." Lily was brought to another room with strange machines. As the door closed behind her, she thought of her home, the farm, her parents. She wondered if she would ever see them again. She didn't know it then, but the Xanthari Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had taken a child from Earth, and one day, Earth would come looking for her. 5 years passed. The world had changed. Humans found a way to travel faster than light using the Alcubierre drive. This new technology let people go to the stars at last. The first ship built for deep space was named the Horizon. It was big and shaped like an arrow, ready to pierce the darkness between stars. Captain Alan Reeves stood on the bridge of the Horizon. He was a tall man with gray at his temples and eyes that had seen much in his 40 years. The stars looked different from out here, 5 light years from Earth. "Captain, we're picking up a signal," said the young woman at the communication station. Lieutenant Susan Miller had short blonde hair and quick hands. "It's not one of ours." The bridge crew fell silent. First contact. The moment humans had waited for since they first looked up at the stars. "Put it on screen, Lieutenant," Reeves said. The main screen lit up with the image of a being unlike any human. It had blue skin and 3 eyes set in a triangle pattern. When it spoke, the ship's computer translated. "Greetings, vessel from Earth. I am Ambassador Zoll of the Galactic Concord. We have been watching your progress with interest." The meeting with the Galactic Concord went well. The Concord was made up of 32 different species who worked together for trade and peace. They welcomed humans as the newest spacefaring race and invited the Horizon to visit their nearest outpost. At the outpost, Lieutenant Miller was given access to the Concord's public data networks. She was in charge of learning all she could about the cultures they were meeting. As she worked, she found something strange. Some data was hidden behind layers of security. "Greg, take a look at this," she said to Intelligence Officer Greg Daniels. He was a quiet man with dark skin and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Greg studied the screen. "That's odd. Why hide public data?" Susan and Greg worked for hours to break through the security. What they found made their blood run cold. There were records of humans being taken to research facilities. The records showed dates going back 30 years. There were pictures, too, of humans in cells and labs. "Oh my God," Susan whispered, pointing to one file. "Look at this one." The file showed a girl who had been taken 5 years ago. She was young, maybe 10 when she was taken. The name listed was Subject 842, but facial recognition matched missing persons records from Earth. Her name was Lily Carter. "The records say she's being held by something called the Xanthari Empire," Greg said, his voice tight with anger. "They're not part of the Concord. The notes say they're running tests on human pain thresholds and resilience factors." Susan felt sick. "They're torturing her. They're torturing all of them." Greg saved all the data to a secure drive. "We need to tell the captain. Now." Captain Reeves looked at the evidence with a face like stone. "How many?" he asked. "At least 47 humans that we can confirm," Greg answered. 17 are still alive according to the most recent data. The others, he didn't finish. Reeves stood and looked out at the stars. "Lieutenant Miller, send an encrypted message to Earth. Priority code black. Include all the evidence. Tell them we found our missing people." He turned back to his officers, his eyes hard with purpose. "The Concord ambassador told me the Xanthari Empire is powerful. They control hundreds of worlds and believe they have the right to do whatever they want to lesser species. They've been watching Earth for decades, taking people when they wanted." "What will Earth do?" Susan asked. "What would you do if someone took your child and hurt them?" Reeves asked. "We're going to get our people back, and then we're going to make the Xanthari wish they'd never heard of humans." As the Horizon prepared to return to Earth with their discovery, billions of miles away, Lily Carter sat in her cell. She was 15 now, thin and pale from years in captivity. But her eyes still held a spark. On a scrap of material hidden in her thin mattress, she had written a single word over and over. "Home." Lily sat on the floor of her cell, her back against the cold wall. She had been in this place for 5 years now. She was no longer the little girl who cried for her parents every night. She was 15, and she had learned to survive. "Test 342 begins in 10 minutes, said a flat voice from the wall speaker. Lily closed her eyes. Another test. More pain. The Xanthari scientists never seemed to tire of seeing how much humans could take. She reached under her thin mattress and pulled out her secret journal. It was made from scraps of material she had collected over the years. She wrote in it using a pen she had stolen from one of the labs. On its pages were her memories of Earth, of her parents, of the farm. The Xanthari could take many things from her, but they could not take those memories. She wrote quickly. I dreamed of cornfields last night. I could almost smell them. Mom and Dad were there. I wonder if they still look for me. She hid the journal again, just as the door slid open. A Xanthari stood there, tall and silver-skinned. This one was younger than most she had seen. His name tag read Telk. Come with me, he said. Lily followed him down the long white hallway. She had learned that fighting only made things worse. As they walked, she noticed Telk looking at her strangely. You are crying, he said suddenly. Why? Lily touched her face. She hadn't realized tears were falling. I was thinking about my parents. Telk stopped walking. Parents. The ones who create you. Yes, Lily said. My mom and dad. I miss them. Telk seemed confused. But you are just a test subject. Chief Researcher Vrax says humans do not have deep feelings like Xanthari. He's wrong, Lily said. We feel everything. Joy, pain, love, fear. We feel it all. For a moment, Telk was silent. Then he said, we must continue to the lab. But his voice sounded different. Back on Earth, the news of the abducted humans had reached the highest levels of government. In a secure room deep beneath Washington, D.C., Admiral Patricia Wells faced the United Planetary Defense Council. The evidence from the horizon is clear, she said. 47 of our people have been taken by this Xanthari Empire for cruel experiments. 17 are still alive, including Lily Carter, who was just a child when she was taken. The room was silent as pictures of the captives appeared on the screen. What do we know about the Xanthari? Asked a council member. They control over 300 star systems, Admiral Wells answered. They're technologically advanced and militarily powerful. The Galactic Concord tolerates them but doesn't challenge them. So they're too strong for us to fight, another council member said. Admiral Wells stood straighter. I'm not suggesting we declare war. I'm suggesting a rescue mission. Fast, quiet, and with our best people. And if it fails? Asked the first council member. Then we tried, Wells said simply. But we can't leave our people in that hell. Especially not a child. The council voted. The mission was approved. Admiral Wells immediately called Captain Reeves. We're sending you new orders, she told him. The horizon is being retrofitted with our newest stealth tech and weapon systems. You're going to get our people back. As the horizon prepared for its dangerous mission, back in the Xanthari research station, Lily was returned to her cell after another painful day of tests. She was surprised when her door opened again an hour later. It was Telk. I have been thinking about what you said, he told her quietly. About feelings. I watched the records of your arrival here. You were so small. I was 10, Lily said. I have seen the other tests, Telk continued. The pain you endured. Yet you still speak of these parents with love. Lily looked at him closely. Why are you here, Telk? I do not know, he admitted. But I think what we are doing to you is wrong. For the first time in years, Lily felt something new. Hope. If you really believe that, she whispered, then help me. The horizon moved through space like a shadow. Its new stealth systems hid it from the Xanthari sensors. On the bridge, Captain Reeves watched the large gas giant planet come into view. The Xanthari research station orbited this planet, far from any major travel routes. All systems dark. We're invisible to their scanners, reported the tactical officer. Commander John Hayes stood ready with his team. He was a tall man with a serious face and steady hands. Next to him was Dr. Olivia Bishop, who would care for the rescued humans, and Ryan Kelly, a former Special Forces soldier whose sister had vanished 5 years ago. Remember, Hayes told his team, our job is to get in, find our people, and get out. No heroics. Ryan checked his weapon. What if we meet resistance? Non-lethal force if possible, Hayes replied. But these people took our children. Do what you must. The rescue ship detached from the horizon and moved toward the station. It was small and fast, carrying the 12-person rescue team. They docked at an unused port on the far side of the station, away from the main traffic areas. "Cutting through now," whispered a team member as she used a laser tool on the airlock. Inside the station, Telk moved quickly through the quiet halls. It was night cycle, when most Xanthari rested. He had spent days gathering information. Security codes, guard rotations, and most importantly, where all the human subjects were kept. He reached Lily's cell and opened the door. "We must hurry," he told her. "I have disabled the sensors in this section, but it won't last long." "The other humans," Lily said. "We need to help them too." Telk looked nervous. "It is too dangerous. There are too many guards." "I won't leave without them," Lily said firmly. Telk hesitated, then nodded. "There are 17 humans total, but we cannot free them all ourselves." At that moment, alarms began to sound in distant parts of the station. "Someone is here," Telk said, his eyes wide. On the other side of the station, Hayes and his team moved through the corridors. They had a map from Concord Intelligence, but it wasn't perfect. "Life signs ahead," Dr. Bishop whispered, looking at her scanner. "Human." They found a secured door. Ryan used the override codes they had been given. Inside were 5 humans, thin and pale from their captivity. They looked up with fear, then hope as they saw other humans. "We're from Earth," Hayes said. "We're here to take you home." One of the captives, an older man, began to cry. "Earth." I never thought I'd hear that word again. As Dr. Bishop checked the captives, Ryan studied a station map on a wall terminal. "There are more holding areas," he said. "At least 2 more sections with human life signs." "How many?" Hayes asked. 12 more, Ryan answered, including one in a high-security area. That might be the Carter girl. Hayes made a quick decision. "We split up. Dr. Bishop, take 3 team members and get these 5 back to the ship. Ryan, you're with me. We'll find the others." As the team separated, Lily and Telk were moving through the back corridors of the station. "The security hub is ahead," Telk said. "If I can access it, I can unlock all the human cells at once." They turned a corner and froze. 2 Xanthari guards stood at the security hub door. The guards saw them and reached for their weapons. "Stop," one shouted. "Research subject out of containment." Telk pushed Lily behind him. "Run. I will hold them." But Lily didn't run. Instead, she picked up a metal pipe from a nearby maintenance cart and swung it at one guard's legs. The guard fell, and Telk tackled the other one. Together, they knocked out both guards. "You helped me," Telk said, surprised. "That's what humans do," Lily replied. "We help each other." They entered the security hub just as the station-wide alarm system activated. Red lights flashed everywhere. "All security personnel to containment sections," a voice announced over the speakers. "Intruder alert. Human vessels detected. This is not a drill." Lily looked at Telk. "My people came for us." The security hub screens showed the whole station. Lily and Telk watched as groups of Xanthari guards ran through the corridors. They also saw something that made Lily's heart jump. Humans with weapons, moving through the station. "Those are soldiers from Earth," she whispered. "They really came." Telk worked quickly at the control panel. "I can unlock all the human cells from here." His fingers moved over the glowing buttons. "Done. All containment cells are now open." Lily studied the screens, counting the small groups of humans being led by Earth soldiers. "There's a group that hasn't been found yet," she said, pointing to a section labeled Special Research. "That is where the most important test subjects are kept," Telk explained. "The security there is very strong." "We have to help them," Lily said. She found the station's communication system and pressed a button. "Hello. Can anyone hear me?" In another part of the station, Commander Hayes heard a young female voice come through his radio. "This is a human voice on the station," the voice said. "My name is Lily Carter. I've escaped with help from a Xanthari named Telk. We're in the security hub and can see everything. There are still 5 humans in the special research section that your teams haven't reached." Hayes looked at Ryan, whose eyes had widened at the name Lily Carter. "This is Commander Hayes of Earth Defense. We're here to bring you all home, Lily. Can you guide us to the others?" "Yes," Lily replied. "Take the corridor to your left, then the second right. But hurry. I can see more guards heading that way." Following Lily's directions, Hayes and his team moved quickly through the station. They met some resistance but dealt with it swiftly. When they reached the special research section, they found heavily locked doors. "Our override codes won't work here," a team member said. Over the radio, Lily's voice came again. "Telk says he can't unlock those doors from here. They have a separate system." "Then we do this the hard way," Hayes said. He placed explosive charges on the door hinges. Inside the special research wing, Chief Researcher Vrax heard the alarms and knew something was very wrong. He checked his security feeds and saw the impossible: humans attacking his station and his test subjects escaping. "Lock down all research data," he ordered his staff. "Prepare the emergency protocols." One of his assistants looked worried. "But the human subjects are property of the Xanthari Empire," Vrax snapped. "If we cannot keep them, no one will have them or our research." He moved to a special terminal and entered a code. Station self-destruct sequence initiated. 30 minutes until detonation. The explosion blew the doors open. Hayes and his team rushed in, finding 5 humans in terrible condition. These were the ones who had suffered the worst experiments. Dr. Bishop, who had returned after getting the first group to safety, gasped when she saw them. "We need to move them carefully," she warned. "They're very weak." As they prepared to move the rescued humans, Lily's urgent voice came over the radio. "Commander Hayes, the station's self-destruct has been activated. I can see it on the main computer. We have less than 30 minutes. Hayes made a quick decision. "All teams, get your people to the extraction point now. Ryan, help Dr. Bishop with these 5. I'll go get Lily from the security hub." In the security hub, Lily and Telk watched the countdown on the main screen. "We need to go," Telk said. "I know a fast way to reach your people." They ran through the corridors, using Telk's knowledge to avoid the Xanthari guards. As they turned a corner, they came face to face with Chief Researcher Vrax and 2 armed guards. "Subject H-42, Vrax said coldly. "And Telk, a traitor to your own kind." Telk stepped in front of Lily. "These humans are not test subjects. They are people. What we did to them was wrong." Vrax sneered. "Wrong. They are lesser beings. Their pain means nothing." "You're the one who's lesser," Lily said, her voice strong despite her fear. "Humans would never do this to children." Vrax raised his weapon. "You will not leave this station alive." Just then, a shot rang out. Vrax fell to the ground. Behind him stood Commander Hayes, his weapon raised. "Lily Carter?" he asked. Lily nodded, tears in her eyes. "Let's go home," Hayes said. The rescue ships raced away from the station as the countdown continued. Inside the lead ship, Lily sat beside Telk, watching through a window as the place of her captivity grew smaller behind them. 3 team members didn't make it out, she heard someone say quietly. They stayed behind to make sure the last group of captives could escape. Lily closed her eyes. More lives lost because of the Xanthari Empire's cruelty. When she opened them again, a bright flash filled the window as the station exploded. "It's really over," she whispered. The journey back to the horizon was quick. As they docked with the larger ship, Lily saw Captain Reeves waiting. He was a man with kind eyes but a serious face. "All 17 captives recovered, sir," Commander Hayes reported. "And we have a Xanthari defector who helped us." He nodded toward Telk. You have our thanks, Captain Reeves told Telk. Without your help, this mission might have failed. As medical teams took the former captives to the ship's medical bay, an officer rushed up to Captain Reeves. Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Xanthari Emperor himself. Everyone froze. Reeves nodded. Put it on the main screen. The screen lit up with the image of Emperor Drax. He was larger than other Xanthari, with silver skin that had lines of gold running through it. His black eyes were cold and angry. Captain Reeves of Earth, the Emperor said, his voice deep and threatening. You have attacked a Xanthari research facility and stolen Imperial property. This is an act of war. Reeves stepped forward. We recovered our own people who were taken against their will and tortured for years. The only crime here was committed by the Xanthari Empire. Emperor Drax's eyes narrowed. Humans are a new species, barely able to travel between stars. You are nothing compared to our empire that has existed for 10,000 years. You will return our test subjects and the traitor Telk, or face destruction. Lily stepped forward, into view of the screen. Captain Reeves tried to stop her, but she stood firm. I am Lily Carter, she said, her voice clear despite her fear. I was 10 years old when your people took me from my home. I have spent 5 years being cut open, burned, frozen, and hurt in ways I can't even describe, all to satisfy your curiosity about how much pain humans can take. Emperor Drax looked at her with disgust. You speak as if you matter, human child. Every one of us matters, Lily replied. That's something your empire will never understand. Captain Reeves put a hand on Lily's shoulder and addressed the Emperor again. We have evidence of what you've done, not just to Lily, but to all the humans you took. We're sending this evidence to every species in the Galactic Concord. He nodded to an officer who pressed a button. It's done, sir. Transmission complete. Emperor Drax's face twisted with rage. You think the Concord will care about a few humans? They fear us too much to act against the Empire. Maybe, Reeves said, but now they know what you are. And so do we. The Emperor leaned closer to the screen. Return to your little planet, human. Enjoy your short lives while you can. The Xanthari Empire does not forget insults. The screen went dark. For a moment, the bridge was silent. Get us home, Reeves ordered. Maximum speed. As the horizon turned toward Earth, news of what had happened was already spreading. On Earth, Admiral Wells stood before the United Planetary Defense Council with the evidence from the Xanthari Research Station displayed on screens around the room. They took our children, she said, her voice firm and clear. They took innocent people and made them suffer for years. And now we have proof. The room was silent as the council members looked at the images and data. What do you recommend, Admiral? Asked the head of the council. Admiral Wells looked at each council member in turn. They took our children and made them suffer. They took our innocence and showed them cruelty. Now we will show them something they've never seen before. Humanity unleashed. Within days, all nations of Earth united with a single purpose: justice for the victims and punishment for those responsible. The Xanthari Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had hurt human children, and now they would learn why that was the worst thing they could have done. The Xanthari Empire did not wait long to respond. 2 weeks after the rescue mission, they attacked the human colony on Mars. 3,000 people died when Xanthari ships appeared without warning and fired on the domed cities. Emperor Drax sent a message to Earth after the attack. This is but a taste of what awaits you. Surrender the escaped test subjects and the traitor Telk, or we will destroy every human settlement beyond Earth. The people of Earth watched the message with quiet anger. There were no riots, no panic, just a deep, cold rage that united humanity like never before. In a hidden base beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Wells met with her top commanders. Among them was Commander Samantha Foster, the most brilliant military strategist Earth had ever produced. The Xanthari fleet outnumbers ours 10 to 1, Admiral Wells told them. Their ships are bigger, their weapons more powerful. If we fight them directly, we will lose. Then we don't fight them directly, Commander Foster said. She was a small woman with short red hair and eyes that missed nothing. The Xanthari Empire is spread across hundreds of worlds. They have supply lines, communication relays, and trade routes. We hit those instead of their warships. The plan took shape quickly. Earth would not try to match the Xanthari ship for ship. Instead, they would strike like ghosts, appearing where they were least expected, destroying what couldn't be defended, and vanishing before the Empire could respond. Lily Carter and the other rescued humans provided valuable help. They had seen things during their captivity that no other humans had seen. They knew Xanthari technology, habits, and weaknesses. Their ships have a blind spot here, Lily explained, pointing to a model of a Xanthari warship, and their sensor arrays can't detect ships moving at specific speeds. That's how supply ships sneak away with stolen goods sometimes. The first human strike happened at a remote Xanthari fuel depot. 3 small, fast Earth ships appeared, destroyed the depot, and vanished before the station could even send a distress signal. The next target was a communication relay that linked 20 Xanthari worlds. Without it, those worlds couldn't call for help or coordinate their defenses. One by one, human ships struck at the edges of the Xanthari Empire. They never attacked civilian targets, only military and supply facilities. After each attack, they broadcast the same message: justice for the children of Earth. The Xanthari were not used to fighting this kind of war. Their empire had grown through direct force, crushing any who opposed them. They didn't know how to fight an enemy that wouldn't stand and fight. Emperor Drax grew angry as reports of successful human strikes flooded in. Find their ships, he shouted at his generals. Destroy them. But the human ships were hard to find. They used the knowledge from the rescued captives to hide from Xanthari sensors. They struck and vanished again and again. The Galactic Concord watched with interest. Many species had suffered under Xanthari rule or influence. Now they saw the mighty empire struggling against the humans, who were supposed to be a weak new species. One Concord member, the Atari, secretly contacted Earth. "We have suffered under the Xanthari for centuries," they said. "We will share our star maps and supply routes with you." Other species followed. The Volith provided advanced shield technology. The Narration showed humans how to improve their weapons. All had been hurt by the Xanthari and sought a chance for change. Within the empire itself, trouble was brewing. Several worlds that had been conquered long ago began to resist their Xanthari rulers. They had seen the evidence of what was done to the human captives, and they had seen that the mighty Xanthari could be hurt. The empire that had stood strong for 10,000 years began to crack, all because they had taken and tortured children from a planet they thought was weak and unimportant. On Earth, Lily Carter returned to her family. Her parents had never stopped looking for her, never stopped hoping. When they saw her step off the ship, thin and changed but alive, they ran to her with tears streaming down their faces. "You came back to us," her mother whispered, holding her close. Lily hugged her parents, feeling safe for the first time in 5 years. "I always knew I would," she said. "And now we're making sure no one else has to go through what I did." 6 months after the rescue mission, the Xanthari Empire was in chaos. 23 worlds had declared independence. Trade routes were disrupted. Communication systems failed regularly. The once mighty empire was falling apart from within and without. Emperor Drax sat on his golden throne, rage burning in his black eyes. His generals stood before him, afraid to speak. "Enough," Drax finally said. "We will end this human problem once and for all. Gather our remaining fleet. We will attack their homeworld directly. Without Earth, the humans will lose their will to fight." The Xanthari assembled their largest fleet ever. 300 warships prepared to attack Earth. It would be a show of force unlike anything the galaxy had seen in 1,000 years. On Earth, Admiral Wells received the warning from their new allies. "The Xanthari are coming here, with everything they have left." Captain Reeves, now promoted to Admiral Reeves, nodded grimly. They're desperate. That makes them dangerous. Earth had prepared for this moment. Every ship they had was ready, but it would not be enough against 300 Xanthari warships. Then something unexpected happened. Ships began arriving at Earth, not Xanthari ships, but vessels from a dozen different species. The Atari came first, with 30 fast attack ships. Then the Volith, the Narration, and others. Even several former Xanthari worlds sent what ships they could. "We stand with Earth," the Atari commander said. "The Xanthari have hurt us all for too long." Admiral Wells looked at the gathered fleet with tears in her eyes. "We didn't ask for this war," she said. "We only wanted our people back. But today, we fight not just for Earth, but for everyone the Xanthari have hurt." The battle for Earth began as the Xanthari fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. They expected to find a small defensive force. Instead, they faced ships from 24 worlds, all united against them. Emperor Drax himself led the attack from his flagship. "Destroy them all," he ordered. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire. Ships exploded on both sides. The Xanthari had numbers and power, but the Allied fleet had something more important, a cause worth fighting for. Admiral Reeves commanded Earth's main fleet. His ship took heavy damage but kept fighting. "Push them back," he ordered. "Don't let them near Earth." Lily watched the battle from Earth's Defense Command Center. At 16, she was too young to fight, but her knowledge of Xanthari systems had helped prepare Earth's defenses. "There," she said, pointing to a display. "The Emperor's flagship has a weakness in its rear shields. It's a design flaw they never fixed because no one ever attacked them from behind." The information was relayed to the fleet. 3 Earth ships and 2 Atari vessels swung around behind the Xanthari flagship. They concentrated their fire on the weak point. The massive ship shields failed, and its engines exploded. The battle turned quickly after that. With their Emperor's ship crippled and many of their own allies turned against them, the Xanthari fleet began to retreat. Within hours, it was over. The great Xanthari Empire had been defeated. In the aftermath, Emperor Drax and Chief Researcher Vrax, who had survived the station explosion, were captured. They were brought to Earth to face justice. The trial was broadcast to every world in the galaxy. Lily Carter, now 16, took the stand to testify about her years in captivity. "I was a child," she told the court, her voice strong and clear. "I was 10 years old when they took me. They hurt me in ways no one should ever be hurt. But I'm not here asking for revenge. I'm asking for justice, not just for me, but for everyone the Xanthari Empire has hurt over thousands of years." The court found Drax and Vrax guilty of crimes against sentient beings. They would spend the rest of their lives in prison, stripped of all power and privilege. A new Galactic Council formed, with Earth as a founding member. New laws were created to protect all beings, especially children, from cruelty and exploitation. Lily returned to her family's farm in Iowa. One night, she sat on the porch and looked up at the stars. There was no fear in her eyes now, only wonder. "They thought we were weak," she said softly to herself. "They thought we would break. But they never understood what humans are capable of when we stand together. And now they never will."